Okay, so we have a very like tight schedule. We have speakers, we have $10,000 in prizes, different tracks. Yeah. And yeah, we're just gonna kick things off, by first Professor Jaseci from Michigan, the creator of the Agentic ecosystem. He is one of the most unique professors I've ever met. And yeah, he started a $200 company before, and now he's trying to change the future by creating an AI native programming language. So we're super excited to see how it goes with it. And yeah, we've got the same award as the same goals. He's done crazy other grades, so you should definitely ask him the questions. And yeah, he's still amazing. Wassel is very, very, very kind. Indeed, Wassel is also a one-kind person. Let me just get this up. All right. And really, this event, I'm luckiest guy on the planet because I didn't have to lift a finger, and it's come together beautifully from the beginning. And so I have to give a round of applause for the organizing team, led by John Tang, putting in some of this, because it's like 10. So yeah, also pizza, of course, David. Goes on about Jack, this meanie, et cetera, okay? If I missed anyone, oh my God, I'm thinking about you in a minute. And let's give him a round of applause to sit off. That would be super cool, but I'm gonna kick off the talk while, hopefully we can get the clicker. So this has been a crazy journey. I've been working on this with phenomenal people for 6 years now. And so 6 years of grind got us to where we are today. And there will be more years of grind into the future. And so it started with an observation, right? So there's an observation that what the world needs is better AI, right? We actually need, so 2019, I said in this TEDx talk that we need to aspire for human level of understanding. And then the very next year, I started the Jaseci project and the Jack language. And it was really about understanding how we can code when we reason about the code that we write having to have agentic properties like little robots or ants. Indeed, the very next year, while I was working on the Jack language, of course, it started as a slow, painful grind with many, many eye rolls, right? Like this is like the thing that you're not supposed to work on. You know what I mean? I wrote a paper. This was the very first paper I wrote on Jack and Jaseci. And I'm talking about agent-oriented programming. And this was before ChatGPT was invented. And it's also the last piece of me before ChatGPT was invented. Because there's very embarrassing spelling mistake on this paper, data spatial. I spelled it wrong. And this paper is incredibly valuable, and I recommend to everyone that you find a piece of writing that's in your voice before the AI came along, because now I use this paper all the time to teach the AI how to sound. And so you guys should try and find that, even if it's like a school report from high school. Anyway, so shortly after, later that year, ChatGPT came, and that changed the world, right? It's very hard to even imagine the world before the first ChatGPT, where every single word written was written by a human, right? Every single line of code written was written by a human. It's kind of unfathomable, and it's only 4 years ago. And then just a couple years later, Agentic AI became a thing, right? And so, what now? So that's where we are. We've got AI. What now? Why work on some of these things? Well, as I've been saying, NVIDIA gave us the hardware to make AI possible. And then the researchers gave us the model. But now it's time for us, the builders, to invent how to build the software. And so that's the journey we're on today. And in this talk, I'm going to talk about 3 things. Where we are now, why the way that we build software is already dead. And you guys are in the midst of it. You may not know it yet, but it's already dead. And we'll talk about the next era of how we start building starts today, right? Okay, so let's talk about some trends. And this is a very important trend. So I've used this slide before to do a few things. Let me move this frame so you guys can see. Very important slide. We have the agentic systems. This is what everybody's doing. Not everybody's training models. Training models is very expensive. It's unreasonably hard. It requires incredible expertise, lots of pain. We're not all building training models. But the big guys, the billion-dollar organizations are building agentic systems, but the best agentic systems are built by us, Legion. We are the Legion of builders. And then as soon as one of us builds something interesting, they pluck us out of the market, right? And so it's up to us to build. And we have two generations of agentic systems, two classes, the in-loop AI, which is what we're really using a lot, and then we have out-of-loop AI. And we're building these systems ourselves because we want to control what the model is able to do. Another important trend is the model is becoming a commodity. You're not special if you have a general AI anymore, right? It's kind of embarrassing in a way. I'm going to say this in a bombastic way. It's a little embarrassing that these billion-dollar organizations who are special because of Fable 5 mythos are being outcompeted by smaller labs, right? The only differentiator they have is the money to train. And so Xi Jinping, he can solve the money disparity for a few labs in China, and these labs are crushing. So of course we have K3, and everybody knows K3 is challenging the Fable 5s of the world and the mythos and the GPT 5.6 souls of the world, etc. That's an interesting trend. And another important trend that's defining the era that we're in today is the trend towards hardware design, not for the data center, but for the tokens that you want, right? Remember the data center thesis? Oh my gosh, stock market grows, NVIDIA stock triple, double, quadruple, because we have to build data centers. Oracle, like X billion dollars to build the next data center, because that's the future. But the semiconductors that are being manufactured today is to run outside of the data center. Apple really spearheaded this with their M5. That's really when this conversation got really key. But it's also fueled by the market. Everybody's buying that minis. The market is listening. There is an ASIC that can run 120 billion parameter model at around 40 tokens a second that plugs into your computer like an external hard drive. So you don't even have to power it. Even though they have this in the picture, they have to power it. You don't even have to power it. You find it like a hard drive, 120 billion parameter model, 40 tokens a second. Whenever you use Opus or Fable, let's say Opus, you're getting about 40, 50 tokens a second in practice, just from the network latency. That's interesting. What does this all say? Well, what this says is the market has made its call. We do not want to tap into the token, drain, right, of our wallets. We want control of the model, and we want to build. There's another really important message here, too. When you look at these trends, it doesn't make you special if you have an AGI. But what does make you special is if you can build a box, right? I think we're going to move in the era of hardware dominating our top market cap companies in the market. We're already seeing this trend. NVIDIA and Apple, TSMC is coming up, right? This was before SpaceX. The reason why SpaceX could command that valuation is because they have a vision for hardware, right? And they're buying companies that help build the hardware. But okay, good. So we're in this world, we got Fable 5, awesome. Is there a problem even to solve? Like, why work on programming language? Okay, cool. So everybody knows this massive problem. How many people heard about this problem? All right, there's massive problem, guys. So the creator of Bun, how many people use Bun? Know what Bun is? All right, cool. He uses it. The creator of Bun, he took Bun and he rewrote it in Rust. It was the same project, he rewrote it in Rust. Anthropic acquired Bun. He sent that out Anthropic. Anthropic loves Rust. He's moving things into Rust. So it caused a lot of drama because he wrote a big blog article, that article, and then the creator of Staircase like flamed him. Called him like beginner, what was it? Beginner energy. Anyways, on the internet, it's like massive, like, drama. But okay, so he did that. I he was those because he said no rocket. So what he did is he wrote a compiler. I was from first like a million. From one language to a similar language class. So we've got super smart people. We're talking about anthropic people helping them do this, doing it with his colleagues at Anthropic. With their model that's so amazing. It's so amazing that they have to advance it. It's like too smart AI models. Just bringing in very well-defined problem. What if something was going file by file to rewrite each file from say to Rust? And he didn't even do the type C. That's such a very safe stuff. Everything was unsafe, so it was like literal code one-to-one translation. We have a problem. That's how much it costs. $165,000 to do almost a literal translation from one language to the next. And that's our game-changing mythos technology. I think we do have it. And that problem has a name. I call it learned helplessness and the polyglot, right? For 40 years, 70 years, depending on how you count, our languages haven't changed. We're still drops, like most of the market is JavaScript and Python. That's the code, the cycles that are executing. Our JavaScript and Python cycles, and then you got C++, which is kind of underrated, but I'm not gonna do that fight. You got C++, and then we have variations, Rust, Zig, etc. Right? Mojo, all of it. So, okay, so we have this stagnation and it produces the polyglot. That means what is the polyglot problem? In order to build a real application, your application has to span multiple languages with multiple boundaries. Interrupts that you have to create, right? Twitter is not one language and one program. Twitter is many different programs talking to each other to give you a Twitter experience, right? It's across these languages. This is kind of the tooling that you're used to. This is the space you have to navigate when you want to build a thing that's real. That's a problem. The model has to know all of the details about all of these things and get it right to build you a thing, right? And so that's a problem for humans. It's a problem for AI. If it costs $165,000 to convert bug to Zig with a super smart model, we've got a problem. So that's how we've aligned the strategy and ingenuity in the creation of Jack to exist in this space where we might want to lift it a level above the rest. And so in order to have a to-do list app that's full stack and decent and average, your model has to produce all of these tokens, right? This is SQL, can be fast API, React, etc. The same application is realizable with Jack with just those lines of code. And that's the mission. And one interesting thing, these companies don't know it, but ecosystem co-design is what they want. These acquisitions of Bud and Astral, just Rough and UV and etc. They're acquiring these companies. They're slowly eating into the tool chain. Eventually, they're going to want to build the language. And they're building models. You want to co-design these models. You want to co-design the model, the language, the tool chain. So this is a hint as to what's coming next. Imagine something like Oldmama, where you can fine-tune your ninja model. It only has to know one language to build anything. And you can put it in a model problem that your tool chain builds from, right? That's a to be continued. And it's getting cheaper to train these models. Getting K2.5 is training for our estimate. This could be totally wrong, 100 to 150K. And now, what I want to do, follow me on Twitter. I'm supposed to be on Twitter. I'm supposed to be doing more social stuff, is what they tell me. And I'm just like, no, I just want to code this. But I don't know, I'm trying to do the Twitter thing. So you can watch and see what's going on. I'll be doing blogs and stuff at this point. We're kind of feature complete with Jack now. Of course, there's a lot of roadmap, a lot of hardening, right? Some new language, a lot of hardening, a lot of work still left to do, but we do have this feature completeness checkbox, which is very exciting. So now I'm going to give you guys an ultimate tool for your hackathon today. With this, what I'm about to tell you, you're going to be able to build hopefully some of the best software you've ever built in your life. Let me know after if I'm totally wrong, but I think I'm right. So I'm going to show you some of that, and then we'll kick it off, right? Okay. So I created this. The last like 2 days, 3 days. I created. Oh, I'm talking about screen. Change. Oh, I got an exit from. Got an exit from that. Do this. Okay, cool. I created this thing. This is it's a site. It's the JacHacks site, right? But it's a little bit more than a site. And let me explain. So Jack has a property we call Syndic. It needed a new name because there's nothing else like it in the world. So this application is one program that is running in the cloud, it's running in your browser, and it's generating borrowed checks native code. Okay, one application. So it's native binary plus Python bytecode plus JavaScript in your browser. And it's one program. So what we did is we actually took this part, which is supposed to be where you like custom graphic or something that's cool. This is actually a code viewer of the code base. So this is actually the code base of this site, right? And when you scroll down, it kind of scrolls with you. Of course, you made it like look cool and you do all this stuff. Oh. And then if you look at the cover, of course, you can say see the GitHub. And then you'll get the actual GitHub. This is the GitHub that can unlock what you can build. Okay, cool. So you've seen a lot of JavaScript looking stuff, right? Well, let's see this native capability. So here we have a big. So I'm playing this game. Oh. Right? This is actually native compiled. So one thing you can do is you can actually take this focus and compile this to a native binary. It's up to 100 kilobytes. And then click game in native on any platform. It's actually going through the backend. Oh yeah, it's got those whole of it. It's going through the same backend that Rust, C++, C++ uses. So when you write the program, you compile it. It's the same instructions, completely borrowed checks, right? Okay, cool. And that's actually part of the same one program. All right. And so we talk about the features. You can check this out on your own. I'm going to show you just a couple more things so you can navigate. I have this wait what section. This wait what section really shows you what's going on in this code base by using the actual files and pulls it from its own backend. It's pulling its own code base. Of course, you don't have to write REST APIs when you have a language like this. So wait what? And this is how we got that game. We just did an import. And it's importing Jack. It's a Jack module, it's importing, and then we just await calling. And that's type checked across that boundary. That's never been done before. In any other language, type checking across the polyglot. It's never been done. It also means you don't have to write validation code. It also means the compiler can generate the optimizations where you cache non-writing backend APIs, so your front end doesn't have to do the network traffic together. That's a compiler problem. That's one dev's work that needs to own it. And that's one AI's work that needs to make sure it isn't messed up and break your code. Anyway, there's tons of this, right? There's like tons and tons and tons of this stuff. But you want to know what this is? I didn't create it for you to read. I created it for your models to read. So you can generate projects like this, right? We also have the Ninja Store section. This is fun. You can put a code base in here. That has back over there. So those are there. Works. And it'll score your code. Okay, it'll score your code. That's the code. I mean, I guess. It has no community. Yeah. All right. Well, you know what I'm saying. So you put it there, and it'll score it. I'm gonna make that really fun. The stock section is kind of crazy, because this actually uses some of the data spatial features, object spatial features, right? So like there's walkers, the way this execution works is a little different than any other language in existence because it has this way of how your compute, your functions can go to your data on a graph. instead of your function's there, you have to pass parameters to it. So it converts them all. It's an option. You don't have to use it, but it's one of the cool features. And so the documentation here is essentially this project. And I'll kind of, so this is actually the docs. So this is the documentation. So each node, okay, you guys all have this. This is open source, right? It's the code base is 100% Jack. And so you can see it's 94% Jack, correction, because we have CSS. And so you guys can see how that was built. Now, another thing that you guys can get an update on is we have this JacHacks.ai. Of course, if you have a language, people don't want to host what they build. And even though hosting is super automated, if you host just from the CLI, you're going to have to know a little bit about getting a cluster running. So we have this platform that will help you host. It also has a lovable capability where you can build. Everyone gets free tokens when you sign up. So you can use the free tokens, build UIs, whatever, build full stack apps, and enjoy it. But really, the deployment is really clutch. And this will be relevant to it's relevant to what you guys build. So there's a deploy button. You guys can have sandbox. This is free forever for everything on the platform. So you can deploy and you can share it with the world, right? Anything you build, you can share it with the world, deploy it, instantly available to everyone. And so we want you guys, as part of your submissions, to deploy and share it with us, right? So that'll be the instructions in your sheet. And also tinker with the building capability, have some fun. It's a good way to start, get a little prototype together, and then you can move into building it the way that you feel most comfortable. Okay, last thing before I wrap, I promise I'm gonna wrap here. Last thing before I wrap, I want to give you the top secret unlock. There's like one prompt you need after you install. So this is how you can install the site, right? So that you can run it locally and see it. Check out this book. It's got all the details, free book. All the details, but this is your key prompt. That's all you need to get started with Jack. Installed in one binary. Everything's one binary. You can delete anything else on your system if you wanted to. You don't have to. And then you can build all of this with one binary. You can run all of it with one binary. And that's the only prompt you need to get started, right? And the pro tip is you can also point into the repo of this actual open source project, and then your AI is going to be able to help you and teach you how to use it. And with that, how much time am I going? Okay, cool. So I'm gonna have Jonathan come on for 2 minutes to show you one thing that you built in Jack recently. And this is crazy. You can take a skill file and generate a harvest. That's a tool that runs through your command line. So it's like skill file to open claw to like skill to claw. It's crazy. All right, 2 minutes, Jonathan, because I don't want to mess up. You guys know to probably want to come, right? All you guys know me.
Hey guys, I'm JacHacks. I'm a teacher at Eastern Michigan. Yeah, so CJ is kind of my output project, actually a research project that I integrated into a bit project. It's basically when you see these companies building agents, practically what they're doing is just writing skill files. Like they write tons and tons of skill files, and they just hope the agent follows the skill files, which is not a way to run business. Because if something like, let's say, an agent reads social security number without going through some like previous check, then that breaks. That's not correct. So I'm doing this research to actually make sure that the agent is auditable by breaking down the agent into runnable hubs by making skill files. So it's a you can go to this website called sigilate.com. It's actually really like quite recently like just like just copy the code command, small machine, You can set up your API or local model that matter. So I have different plan for that. We'll skip it for now because it's just like I created a small scale file which is for like a simple CSV cleanup. Basically, it's just kind of stuff. So you have simple CSV cleanup that's like you set the titles and make them nicer. Run that. People make CSV better in random case. And AI will go in and do that, but the model that do that is running on your machine. It's not a GPT-4 or Opus or anyone. It's just it's basically Gemma 4 E4. So that model is doing the work because the skill file is broken down into auditable rounds. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about. I think so that's awesome.
All right. Yeah, let's move on, guys. With that, guys, I want you guys to have fun. I want you guys to build, and I want you guys to do your best work today. And with that, I'm happy to take a couple questions. I was like, just let me go. That's something. So the question was for the agentic AI track, what's the judging criteria and expectations? Except I'm gonna have Fossil talk about it.
Yeah. Other logistics as well. But I mean, like, don't say take us up. No, it was big. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Jason, for a beautiful talk. Hope you guys are excited to chat. So first of all, food logistics, if you guys are learning about information market, do this. Market, we have like this big buffet, lunch, we have interior, and then, yeah, we also have dinner with a lot of snacks and stuff. We have those sketches, so then we can do like extended chat in the shop. So let me figure out, especially for classification. And then, yeah, now that we have three tracks basically. So the minimum requirement is that you have to use track for. It doesn't matter which track it is. Oh, yeah.
And for yeah, you can go for JacHacks. It doesn't matter which track, right? Anything that happens about that. Startup, project.
Was I don't know.
I'm getting AI in the form of some chat. That's essentially what we're doing. Trying to get innovative, and we actually have two states that complete number of project. So I'm going to be putting up a detailed study rubric as well on Discord so that you guys have all the details. But yeah, we have like all prizes. So I think it adds up to around 8 plus, close to 10K-ish. Yeah. And we also have one more sponsor here. Ariane is going to come here with a brief about it.
It's only 150 items.
Hello everyone, I'm already CEO in TSA Competence. I'm just going to come up here and announce our track. We're just making a track where any online defense. We kept it intentionally as open as possible because we want to see creativity, application. And obviously something, some software operation. That's already. $500 cash prize.
Yeah.
Really excited to do it. Thank you.
Yeah, you talk before or you know that. Good question. Your primary is you cannot apply multiple tracks to a project. You can only apply one track to a project. And what you can do is like the judging code for the submission is closed around 6 p.m. So until then you can switch your track positions. But you cannot apply to like multiple main tracks. You can apply for multiple subtracks. And submission doesn't happen. Yeah, that's the question. If I like don't break anything, please make sure that you just like
as it was. Great for now. And but that part, yeah, I got check out the language, ask any questions, and yeah, it's great. Let's get it going.
Okay, let me find you a seat. He's like the only other person being quit. Like maybe it's a part time. Yeah, it's actually just. So it's great. That's why I was like, that's game call. I get a. Hey. How do you feel about
Russian,
what's the best?
like so, but I have to say that I had to take Spanish back to the middle. I'm just in the middle part. I wonder how much of the language they have website that really understand what it is. Because you want to, but I see a lot of people in the audience going to the website to check.
Yeah, I think first.
So I think maybe they'll get it.
Yeah,
But,
they'll get it. Yeah, I didn't really teach it. I'm thinking
Yeah.
workshops not the appropriate place.
you'll shuffle a little bit. Or
So you think it was a spend more time teaching? I definitely did the thing, which is like I know everything, so like I didn't. You guys need to. I was talking about.
kind of confusing. It's one language you might but it's not clear. Like I always get this confusion, which is yeah, but my compile everything's binary, meaning like you write JavaScript code and then algebra.
It's like I can't imagine anything.
I mean that's so I think it's fine.
So, I don't like.